Jeanette, we heard a few times that you mentioned data, analytics, or perhaps cloud. So all these things are so hot and abuzz, and I know that there are many programs, training programs, or degree programs offered in the market to teach all this knowledge and skills. On the other hand, there are also a lot of courses available, short-term courses or training courses. So what is your view on whether a person should take up a proper degree program, or should they come into the industry by taking up shorter term courses?
Tricky question, and I'll explain why it's tricky. It's tricky because it depends on where you are in your career. If you are just starting your career and you don't have a base in ICT, you really do need to go a bit of the academic route. It doesn't mean that you go to university. You know, polytechnics offer a perfectly good alternative. It's about the skills. But don't forget, when there was a survey done, admittedly a rather small survey, there was a survey done by NTUC and the Singapore Computer Society. What they found was that employers don't really look for academic qualifications when they're hiring. It's not about academia. It's not about your qualifications. It's about how relevant is your work experience. You know, do you have relevant skills? Do you have industry expertise? Then they start looking at academic qualifications, which is more of a hygiene factor than something that sets you apart from other people. So I also wanted to draw that line between academia for the more established tech and academia for the newer tech. And this is going to offend some of the IT people out there, and I'm sorry in advance, but I'm still going to say it anyway. In my view, ICT, the new ICT, new tech, is very much like the wild, wild west. You go out there, you know, the impression of the man on the ground is you go out there, you have these hackers who are the outlaws, and then you have the white hats or the red hats or the black hats or whatever hats they have, and they are defending, they are fighting each other. There's this battle for survival, for control. The Wild West is out there, you know. There's still so much out there that is uncharted. And the first person to make it out there becomes almost like a gold rush. Everybody rushes in because that's where the money is. Yeah. It's Wild, Wild West. It's who are innovating, who are fighting. It's those people on the ground. It's the man in the department who's actually fighting it and coming up with new technologies and new ideas. By the time it makes it into academia,
it's a bit late.
And you know, when you're having a gunfight, you can't say, wait, give me 6 months. I go back and get my gun and I come back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's gone.
I get
the opportunity is gone.
Yep.
And that is also part of the reason why I said that one of the things that you look for if you're in IT is you have to constantly upgrade, upskill, and move ahead. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't be late. But at the same time, this is for the new tech side of the house. And we all know new tech becomes established tech very, very quickly. Software programming for one. You know, cloud infrastructure. When it first started, trust me, I looked. There was no training by any training provider. There was no training by the universities because it was too new.
Too new. And you learn by practice.
Yes. And you not only learn by practice, you learn by something that we in GovTech, we like to do what we call industry placements, where we put our staff in the best possible places to learn. And so, you know, for example, like Pivotal, if it's the best in agile technology, we put our guys there. They sit in the industry and they learn from the person there, head on.
Right.
We also do interviews where it's a head-on competition between somebody who's in the company. You want to join us at this level? Let's have a head-on competition. We see who's better. We learn by doing. We learn by looking at each other. We learn by sharing. And I think that this is something which happens when academia is somewhat behind. Yep. But in places where it's ahead, let's look at, for example, we are talking about being a CIO. Chief Information Officer. A lot of this information is already there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to go head on. You don't have to do that. It's a shortcut. Academia is that shortcut to learning. And for fresh graduates, it is that hygiene factor. And so I said, your question was very tricky. Because it's trying to get me to say commit to one or the other. It's not really the case.
In the actual world, maybe it's not that straightforward.
Yes.
And maybe a person needs to really evaluate from the point of view that the background, the career objective, and so many other factors, and come out with a pathway that's suitable for that particular person. But what we have shared that there are so many options available that is important and encouraging.
Having said that, I'm not saying that academia isn't important, because the advantage of going to do a program is that you get to look at things from a very wide angle. It's more than just learning that technical skill. You get to learn how to network with people. You get to learn about working together. You learn about, especially if you want to be a leader, you learn about how this impacts strategy, how it impacts policy. You learn about the trade-offs. You learn about all these different things. That may not happen if you go to a specific program or about a specific competency.
So that's what we talk about, the generalist and the specialist and the different skill sets that they need to build up. And it goes back to the point that we mentioned, that career objective is also very important. What kind of career objective you set to yourself, and how do you want to achieve that at the end of the day?
Yes, and I think that if you're looking at ICT being a career, you have a choice to make, and it's not an easy choice in Asia, because you have the choice of being a hardcore, deep technical expert. But in Asia, the idea of growing in a career is that I get a bigger title, I get more people under me. That's not really going to happen if you are a tech professional, because you're actually going deeper. You're looking at being a specialist, a researcher. If you're looking at being a manager of technical people, then yes, you have to earn your stripes. You have to be able to come from the grounds up. You should be able to get respect by doing what they do, or at least understanding it and not getting in their way. Then you start branching out into the how do I manage. But then if you want to be a tech leader, a leader of a technical industry or leader of something else, then you start thinking about things like, what are the trade-offs? Like, I know agile is very quick, but at the same time, what happens if, I want the security and I want it to be a base? So for, brick and mortar institutions that don't change at all, do I really need to go agile? Do I go with the security and the knowledge, the full knowledge of the full budget? Do I go with a legacy platform? Do I change my legacy platform? What is the difference between, how am I going to do that trade-off between being agile and the cybersecurity? It's not fully tested. I don't know whether they can be attacked. How do I look at the security of something that's a legacy system or going on cloud? So there's all these considerations that have to come in, and it comes in at different points in your career.
Yes, different points of career.
And also what your career aspiration is. I always ask my staff, if you're talking to your grandmother and you say, Mama, I've not been promoted. I've been promoted again, again. 5th time. Then your grandmother, first question is, how much they give you? Second question, how many people are you in charge of now? Then you say, nobody lah, only me. To them, that's not a promotion. Are you willing to put up with that?
Yeah, that's what you mentioned about the career inspiration. What do you want to achieve? So I think that's important as well when you are thinking of switching into the industry, or not really switching into the industry, switch to any other industry. That's a primary question maybe you should consider before making any major decision. And
well, you see, the thing is that tech is not only in the tech industry. You can be a techie in a non-tech industry. Everybody now needs tech.
Yes, I agree with that. Because every organization has such an important department called IT or ICT, SS, and we cannot live without them.
Yes, and even looking at roles that are not traditionally IT, Like graphic designers, for
Oh,
example,
yes.
they need HTML basics. If you are looking at marketers, they now need to understand website and customer
Website, yes.
experiences.
Be able to run all the online sessions, be able to manage all the systems.
Yeah. And if you are a general staff, just even a general staff, you need to understand cybersecurity. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to understand certain elements of it.
Yep.
So there's a lot of all these things that have now crept out of the traditional tech competency areas
Yes.
into normal jobs, day-to-day jobs. I'm sorry, but who would have thought in December that a kindergarten teacher would have to understand how to do Zoom, how to do virtual learning? Kindergarten teachers? Really?
And they are all experts of that now.
Yes, absolutely. And so there's a creep out. And I'm trying to say that it's not only the ICT people who need to upskill and reskill and upgrade, it's all of us.
Exactly, and that's another side of the story, because we talk about people coming to tech or some non-tech people coming into the tech industry. So it's the other side that everybody actually are exposed to the tech roles, tech jobs, tech aspects. So yes, you're right, keep upskill, keep learning. That's a key of survival.
Absolutely, and it's also a lot of fun. I've reinvented myself in multiple industries over a lot of time. And I've been very lucky to find bosses who allowed me to do that. And it's also a lot of fun, although a lot of stress.
I'm sure. That's very inspirational, I think. Yeah. We have come to the end of our talk today, and it's really a very enlightening talk to myself. Thank you so much, Jeanette. What I learned, besides all the pathway, the technical terms, is really keep learning, keep upgrading, and be interested, be curious about what you like, what you want to be. So I guess that's some the thought of today that you are sharing with the audience. And I think that's very encouraging to those people who would like to switch into the tech industry. I hope the audience enjoyed today's talk as much as I do. And that's the end of our talk today, and see you next time in our next Geek Out session. Thank you.